What if there was a way to reprogram your mind to face anything, and I mean anything, with calm, focused strength? What if the secret to mastering your emotions wasn't some complicated ritual, but a simple daily habit? And what if the words you quietly told yourself each morning could shape your destiny? This isn't fantasy. It's a real, proven tool that dates back thousands of years, used by Stoic philosophers to rise above chaos, stay composed, and build a life of meaning and resilience. Because the truth is this: what you say to yourself every day does matter. Your self-talk is the software that programs your mental operating system. If your internal dialogue is full of fear, doubt, or negativity, your actions will reflect that, and so will your life. But here's the good news. If you choose to speak to yourself with clarity, wisdom, and purpose, you'll begin to transform. You'll train your mind to become disciplined, emotionally strong, and unshakably calm, even when the world around you isn't. And that's exactly what you're going to learn today. We've curated 10 powerful Stoic phrases you should repeat to yourself every single day. Phrases designed to reframe your thoughts, ground your emotions, and guide your actions with courage. Some of them will teach you how to stay rooted in what you can control. Others will help you remain centered in difficult situations. And a few will light the fire you need to move forward with resolve. Stick with me until the end, because these aren't just motivational quotes. They're tools for reshaping the way you think and ultimately how you live. Let's begin with the first one. I only control my actions, not the outcome. Imagine for a moment how much lighter you'd feel if you could release all that anxiety you carry about the future. What if you stopped spending so much energy trying to predict or manipulate things that were never within your grasp to begin with? This simple phrase carries one of the deepest truths in Stoic wisdom. I only control my actions, not the outcome. The Stoics understood that much of our suffering doesn't come from reality. It comes from resisting reality, from trying to force things, manage every variable, or expect certainty in an uncertain world. But once you fully embrace the fact that your power lies in your effort, not the final result, you open the door to peace. Epictetus, one of the most revered Stoic teachers, explained that life is divided into two domains: what's in our control and what isn't. So, what is in your control? Your behavior, your decisions, your thoughts, your mindset, and what's not. Other people's opinions, how someone reacts, the final result, even the future itself. As Epictetus said, some things are up to us and some are not. And this realization that you can take full responsibility for your input while letting go of the outcome will free you from frustration, fear, and false expectations. So, as we've just seen, peace begins the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Now, let's look at how this Stoic truth applies in everyday life. Take your job, for example. Picture this. You spend weeks preparing for a big interview. You polish your resume, rehearse your answers, show up on time, and present yourself with confidence. You give it everything you've got, but then someone else gets the position. If you believe that the outcome was within your full control, you'll likely feel crushed, maybe even question your worth. But if you recognize that your only responsibility was to prepare and perform your best, you'll see it differently. You'll realize that you did your part with integrity and a trust that better opportunities may still lie ahead. That's the Stoic mindset. Always give your best, but don't attach your happiness to the result. Seneca put it best when he said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Your role is to prepare, to show up with discipline, and then to let go. Let life unfold. Now, shift that same mindset to your relationships. You can be kind, loyal, honest, loving. You can treat someone with all the care in the world, but you can't force them to feel the same. You can't control their reactions or guarantee they'll respond in kind. And when you expect a specific emotional return, when your peace depends on their behavior, you set yourself up for disappointment. But what happens if you choose to act with integrity without needing anything in return? You free yourself. You stop being emotionally chained to how someone else behaves. You live your values, not their reactions. Love deeply, respect others, be loyal. But don't construct unrealistic expectations about how people should treat you. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Welcome whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." Now let's talk about your personal goals. Say you commit to learning a new language, starting a business, or getting into shape. You control whether you show up, whether you practice, whether you push through the tough days, but you don't control how fast you progress. You don't control the roadblocks that show up or the pace of your results. If your sense of fulfillment is tied only to the end goal and things don't unfold the way you hoped, you'll feel discouraged, maybe even defeated. But if you learn to value the process, to appreciate your own effort, growth, and consistency, you'll win no matter what, because you'll evolve regardless of the outcome. Stop obsessing over the finish line. Learn to enjoy the walk. Epictetus offers a powerful reminder. Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens the way it does, and your life will go smoothly. Because at the end of the day, the only thing truly under your power is what you do, what you think, and what you choose. Everything else? That's the universe doing its work. And if you can learn to focus on what's in your control and meet everything else with grace, you'll tap into a kind of calm that most people spend their whole lives chasing. So once you stop resisting reality and start flowing with it, you unlock a new kind of strength. Now, let's take it one step further. What if life wasn't just happening to you, but for you? Imagine this. Every situation in your life, whether painful or pleasant, is not an obstacle, but a lesson. What if each setback was actually a silent teacher guiding you toward growth? That's the essence of this powerful Stoic truth. What happens, happens for me, not to me. This idea flips the victim mindset on its head. The world isn't out to get you. The universe isn't punishing you. It's just unfolding, as it always has. And within every experience, no matter how hard or unfair it may seem, there's something valuable if you're willing to look for it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor himself, once wrote in his Meditations, "What happens, happens rightly. Watch carefully, and you will see that this is so." To him, life wasn't some chaotic mess of random events. It was a well-woven pattern, each thread placed exactly where it needed to be to shape who we're meant to become. Think back to a difficult season in your life. Maybe it was a crushing loss, a painful breakup, or a massive disappointment. At the time, it probably felt like the world was collapsing on you. But now, with distance, can you see it more clearly? Did it teach you something? Did it open a door you wouldn't have otherwise noticed? Let's bring this into something more practical. Picture yourself working at the same job for years. You show up, put in the effort, do what's expected. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, you're laid off. Your first instinct might be frustration or fear. Why me? Why now? But the Stoic question isn't, why is this happening to me? It's, what is this here to teach me? Maybe it's a sign to finally pursue that passion project. Maybe the job no longer served you. Maybe this is the push you needed to find something far more aligned with who you truly are. As Seneca reminds us, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And sometimes opportunity shows up disguised as a crisis. Now, let's take it even deeper into your personal relationships. Have you ever been betrayed, abandoned, or deeply disappointed by someone you trusted? It hurts. But again, instead of asking, why did they do this to me? Try reframing it. What is this teaching me about people and about myself? Suddenly, the pain becomes a path to wisdom. Every broken bond becomes a lesson in emotional maturity, boundaries, and self-awareness. Epictetus said it best. It's not events that disturb people, but their judgment about them. And what about the little annoyances that fill our everyday lives? You're stuck in traffic. You're running late. You spill coffee on your shirt before a big meeting. Sure, you could get angry and let it ruin your day. Or you could zoom out. You could accept that it's out of your control and use that moment instead to reflect, to breathe, to listen to something uplifting, to train your patience like a muscle. This is the true power of perspective. When you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now, everything begins to shift. So when you begin to see every experience as something happening for you rather than to you, life stops feeling like a battlefield. It starts to feel more like a journey, one filled with meaning, growth, and transformation. And here's the thing. The moment you remind yourself of that truth daily, something shifts. The struggles won't vanish overnight. The difficulties won't suddenly disappear, but the way you respond to them, that will never be the same again. And that leads us to the third powerful Stoic phrase. If it's happening, I can handle it. Let those words sink in. Have you ever felt crushed under the weight of a problem? Like the walls were closing in and there was no way out? We've all been there, when life feels too heavy, too chaotic, too painful to bear. But that's exactly when this phrase becomes your anchor. If it's happening, I can handle it. Now, this isn't just some shallow motivational slogan meant to make you feel better. It's a foundational belief in Stoic philosophy. If something has shown up in your life, no matter how difficult, it means you have the inner strength to meet it. It doesn't mean the road will be smooth. It doesn't mean it won't test you, but it does mean the capacity to endure, to grow, to rise. It's already inside you, waiting to be activated. Marcus Aurelius wrote something powerful in his Meditations. When you're faced with something difficult, remember, you were made for this. To him, difficulties weren't punishments. They were part of nature's design. Like weights at the gym, they exist to strengthen you. Now think back for a second. Remember a moment in your life that felt unbearable at the time. A betrayal, a failure, a loss. Something you thought would break you. But it didn't. You're still here, still breathing, still learning. You've survived 100% of your hardest days so far. That's not a coincidence. That's resilience. Now, picture yourself in the middle of a financial crisis, bills stacking up, income drying up. The uncertainty feels like it's choking you, and the future looks like a blur. What are your options? You can panic, you can freeze, or you can take a deep breath and repeat, "If it's happening, I can handle it." Panic changes nothing. Focused action, that's what leads to change. Maybe it means cutting back on expenses, searching for new income streams, learning something new, asking for help. But one thing you can't afford to do is collapse. Epictetus taught, it's not things that upset us, but our opinion of them. If you see your challenge as the end of the road, it defeats you. If you see it as something you were made to overcome, it strengthens you. This applies just as deeply in our emotional lives. Maybe someone close to you, someone you trusted deeply, let you down. The pain is real, no one's saying it isn't. But the choice of what happens next, that's still yours. You can stay stuck, or you can rise, you can stay bitter, or you can choose to grow. Because if it's happening, there is a lesson in it. As Seneca reminds us, every challenge is a doorway to deeper wisdom. So when you tell yourself, if it's happening, I can handle it, you're not denying pain. You're accepting it as part of the journey. And sometimes the hardest part of that journey isn't what's happening around you. It's what's happening within you. Because, let's be honest, what if the real challenge isn't outside? What if the real battle is your own anxiety, insecurity, or fear of what might come next? In those moments, Stoicism offers a powerful reminder. Your mind, like your body, can be trained. If you feel overwhelmed by a situation today, it doesn't mean you're weak. It simply means your mental resilience needs more training. Just like a muscle, your ability to stay calm under pressure grows every time you face discomfort with courage. Each time you confront fear, self-doubt, or uncertainty, instead of running away, you become stronger. But every time you avoid it, you chip away at your own confidence. So the question is simple. What do you choose? Remember, if it's happening, you can handle it. You always could, and you always will. Now, let's move on to the fourth Stoic principle. 1. That can radically change the way you experience conflict and criticism. Nothing external can upset me without my permission. Ever notice how some people stay composed even when everything around them is crumbling, while others spiral into stress and anger at the smallest trigger? The difference lies in this one truth. It's not the outside world that causes emotional chaos. It's how we respond to it. If something angers you, frustrates you, or drags you down, it's not because that event has control over you. It's because you gave it control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if you're disturbed by something external, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it. And you can change that judgment anytime. Let's make this real. Picture yourself driving. You're calm, focused. Then suddenly, someone swerves and cuts you off. Your heart races. Maybe your fists clench. You feel the rush of frustration building inside. But pause for a moment. What actually happened? A car changed lanes. That's it. Everything else, the anger, the stress, the urge to lash out, came from you. It was your interpretation of the moment that gave it power over your peace. And this plays out in so many areas of life. someone criticizes you at work, someone leaves a rude comment online. If you take it personally, replay it in your head all day and let it poison your mood. Then you've surrendered your inner peace to someone else's words. But if you remember that words are just sounds, opinions, that don't define you unless you let them, you become untouchable. Epictetus gave us a beautiful perspective. If someone speaks badly of you, don't be upset. Just ask yourself, does this person actually know who I am? And in that one question, you take your power back. So once you stop giving away your emotional power to every comment or criticism, you begin to live on your own terms. You realize that your peace doesn't belong to the outside world. It belongs to you. As Seneca put it, if criticism is fair, use it to grow. If it's not, don't waste your energy. Let's bring that into your personal relationships. Have you ever been stung by something someone said or did? Of course you have. We all have. It's part of being human. But Stoicism teaches us a radical truth. No one can hurt you emotionally without your consent. Think about that. If you genuinely understand that you cannot control others, only your response, you begin to break free from emotional dependency. You no longer ride the roller coaster of other people's moods, opinions, or behaviors. Seneca reminds us that the greatest power we have isn't over others. It's over ourselves. And when you react impulsively to every insult, every jab, every unfair remark, you're giving that power away. But if you choose to remain calm, composed, and centered, then no one, not even the harshest critic, can truly shake you. Now let's zoom out. What about life's bigger blows? The loss of something meaningful, money, an opportunity, a relationship, it hurts. There's no denying that. But if you return to the Stoic mindset, you'll remember a key truth. Everything external is temporary, and true balance doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what's within. Marcus Aurelius offers this powerful line: if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. You can always rewrite the meaning you assign to your experiences. So, how can you apply this in real life? Start small. Each time something annoys, offends, or upsets you, pause and ask, does this really have the power to upset me? Or am I allowing it? That one question will change the way you interact with the world, because when you take full ownership of your reactions, the outside world no longer holds the same power over your peace. Now let's dive into the fifth Stoic principle, one that can liberate you from one of the most silent traps we all fall into: the need for approval. And it begins with this simple but life-changing truth. What others think of me doesn't define me. Have you ever held yourself back from doing something, speaking up, trying something new, expressing who you really are, just because you were afraid of what people might think? Have you ever gone out of your way to please everyone, only to feel drained, frustrated, and still not enough? Then it's time to absorb this truth fully. What others think of you is not who you are. People will always have opinions. They will judge, comment, approve, disapprove. That's their nature. But their opinions don't define your identity. You do. If you build your life around what others think, you become a prisoner to their expectations. But once you release that need for approval, you reclaim your freedom to live by your own values. Epictetus put it plainly: If you care too much about what others think, you become their slave. And that's where much of our modern suffering comes from, bending ourselves to fit everyone else's vision of who we should be. Now, imagine walking into a brand new environment. Maybe it's a new job, a new school, a new social circle. So, when you stop building your identity around the opinions of others, you begin to live with real confidence. But in everyday life, that's easier said than done, especially in a world that constantly demands your attention and approval. Now, picture this. You walk into a new environment, a workplace, a classroom, maybe even a social event. You feel that quiet anxiety crawling in. You start scanning the room, wondering how everyone sees you. At the first sign of being ignored or rejected, doubt starts whispering in your mind. Did I say something wrong? Do I belong here? But pause. Really pause. Ask yourself, do these people actually know who I am? Or are they simply projecting their own insecurities and judgments? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste time thinking about what others are doing or not doing. Focus only on yourself." Most people are so consumed by their own worries, their own image, their own flaws, that they barely even notice yours. So why surrender your peace over their passing thoughts? Now let's talk about a modern battlefield for approval. Social media. You post something meaningful, maybe a photo, an idea, a personal thought, and then you wait for likes, for comments, for some kind of reaction. When it doesn't come, or worse, when someone criticizes it, it can feel like rejection. But here's the Stoic truth. If your happiness depends on other people validating you, you'll always be at their mercy. If instead your confidence comes from within, rooted in your values, not in applause, no amount of online silence or criticism can shake you. Seneca put it best. The opinions of others should never matter more than your own conscience. You know your actions, you know your intent, you know your purpose. So why let someone else's shallow judgment override your deeper truth? Now let's bring this to relationships. Far too often people enter relationships just to feel accepted. They hide parts of themselves. They shape-shift to fit the mold of what they think the other person wants. But here's the cost. They lose themselves, and Stoicism warns us against this. It teaches us to seek genuine connection, not perform for approval. The goal is to be loved for who you are, not for a version of you that was built out of fear. And what about when someone judges you unfairly, spreads rumors, makes baseless accusations? What do? Marcus Aurelius gives us the answer with clarity and grace. If it's true, learn from it. If it's not, ignore it. Because at the end of the day, your job is not to convince the world you're not on trial. Your only task is to stay true to your own principles. So how do you actually apply this in real life? It starts with one simple habit. Whenever you find yourself worrying about what someone thinks of you, ask these 3 questions. Does this really matter? Does this person truly know me? Does their opinion change who I am? And most of the time, your answer will be no. Once you stop seeking validation from others, you're free to be fully you. But here's the next piece of wisdom the Stoics offer, one that grounds everything we've talked about so far. The present moment is all you have. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But think about it. The past, it's already gone. The future, it hasn't arrived yet. And the only moment that actually exists is the one you're in right now. That's why the Stoics treated this truth as sacred. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's life is brief. This moment is all we have. The rest has been lived or is uncertain." In other words, if you waste the present moment, you're not just wasting time, you're wasting life. Now let's bring this to something as ordinary as eating lunch. You sit down with your food, but your mind is elsewhere, racing through deadlines, replaying that awkward conversation from 2 days ago, or stressing over tomorrow's bills. You're physically there, but mentally, you're gone. And then it hits you. The meal is finished, but you barely tasted a single bite. How many experiences have you missed, simply because your mind was stuck in a time zone that doesn't even exist? Epictetus gives us this sharp reminder: don't try to control what's beyond you. Focus on what's right in front of you. That includes this very moment. When your energy is constantly tied up in the past or the future, you're draining yourself over things you cannot control. The cost? Your presence, your peace, your joy. Now think about your work life. Maybe you're always waiting for the promotion, the perfect opportunity, or that ideal moment to start something new. But while you're waiting, life is passing. What if instead of waiting, you simply gave your absolute best to what's right in front of you today? Because while the future isn't guaranteed, the quality of your actions today shapes what's to come. Seneca warned us, while we're wasting time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. Every minute lost in regret or in imagining worst-case scenarios is a minute you'll never get back. And this doesn't just apply to tasks, it applies to the people you love. How many times have you sat beside someone only to find your mind wandering to your phone, your to-do list, or something completely irrelevant? You were there, but you weren't really with them. And then later, it's gone. The moment passes, and it never returns. Marcus Aurelius brings us back to what matters most. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Let that sink in. If today were your last day with someone you care about, would you be scrolling? Would you be distracted? Or would you savor every second? So how do you actually bring this into your daily life? It starts with awareness. Every time you catch your mind drifting, ask yourself, does what I'm thinking about right now matter more than what I'm living? If you're eating, eat. If you're working, work. If you're with someone, be with them fully, because the present moment is all you truly have. Everything else, just shadows. Once you begin to live fully in the present, you realize how precious each moment truly is. But even in the present, life doesn't always go the way we want. Which brings us to the next powerful Stoic truth, one that radically shifts how we deal with hardship. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Let that sink in. No matter who you are or how well you plan, life will throw challenges your way. At some point, you'll lose something. You'll feel frustrated. You'll get hurt. Because pain, it's part of the human experience. But here's what most people never realize. Suffering isn't caused by the pain itself. It's caused by how we respond to that pain. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. They didn't try to escape pain. They learned to work with it. They discovered a powerful truth. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what it means to you. Seneca once said, "It's not because things are difficult that we don't dare. It's because we don't dare that they are difficult." Often it's not even the pain that breaks us. It's the fear of it, the resistance, the mental wrestling with what's already happened and can't be changed. Think about a real life. Example, maybe you lose your job. A relationship ends. A dream you've worked toward suddenly collapses. That first wave of pain, it's real. There's no point pretending otherwise. But what happens next? That's your turning point. You can accept what happened, learn from it, and begin to move forward. Or you can fall into the trap of feeding thoughts like, this shouldn't have happened to me. This isn't fair. My life is ruined. One path leads to growth. The other, it leads to deeper suffering. Epictetus said it clearly. Men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. In other words, nothing can truly disturb your peace unless you let it. Now let's look at physical pain. Picture an athlete who suffers an injury right before a big competition. They have two choices. They could complain endlessly about bad luck. Or they could accept the pain, focus on healing, work on their mindset, and return stronger. The injury? That's real. But the suffering? That's in the mind. Marcus Aurelius gave us this guidance. When you come across something painful, ask yourself, is this under my control? If it is, take action. If it's not, accept it and move on. This applies to emotional pain too. Rejection, betrayal, heartbreak, these things sting deeply. But holding on to that pain, replaying the moment over and over again for months, or even years, that's a choice. The moment already passed. You can either keep it alive by reliving it, or you can honor it, learn from it, and move forward stronger. If something hurts, acknowledge it. Don't suppress it. But don't let destructive thoughts turn it into a prison. Pain may visit you, but suffering, that only stays if you invite it in. So when pain visits your life, don't ask how to escape it. Ask if you're adding unnecessary suffering to it, because pain fades, but the lesson, that stays. Now, let's shift to another invisible trap that steals our peace. Not pain, but desire, endless, bottomless desire. Eighth, too many desires lead to frustration. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you achieve, it's never quite enough? Like happiness is always one step ahead, waiting at the next promotion, the next purchase, the next big moment? It's a common feeling in modern life, and one the Stoics saw coming centuries ago. The more desires you collect, the more frustration you carry. Seneca said, "It's not poverty that makes us unhappy, it's the endless desire for more." The problem isn't ambition. It's the addiction to always needing something else. It's believing that now is never enough, that contentment is always tied to the next milestone. Imagine this. You want a better car, a bigger house, a higher salary. There's nothing wrong with setting goals or wanting to improve your life. But if you believe happiness only arrives after you get those things, you've already lost. Because here's what happens. You hit one goal, and suddenly another pops up, then another, and another. And peace? It never shows up. Because you're chasing a moving target, Marcus Aurelius reminds us of a different way. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That one sentence flips our culture on its head. It means that true abundance comes not from accumulating more, but from needing less, from learning to appreciate what's already around you. Let's bring that down to real life. Have you ever bought something you thought would change everything? a new phone, a luxury item, something you really had to have, and then days or weeks later, it lost its magic. That's the cycle of consumerism. Society pushes us to crave more, to constantly upgrade. But ask yourself, do we really need everything we want? Epictetus answered it this way: if you want to be rich, don't add to your possessions. Reduce your desires. Now that doesn't mean you stop growing or dreaming. It means you master your impulses instead of letting them master you. Because peace isn't found in more, it's found in clarity. This same truth applies to relationships. Too many expectations lead to constant disappointment. If you expect people to be perfect, to meet every emotional need, to never let you down, you'll end up frustrated over and over again. But if you learn to accept people for who they are, not who you wish they were, you'll experience more peace and far fewer letdowns. So the next time you catch yourself needing more to feel satisfied, pause and ask, is this something I truly need or just an illusion I've created? Because when you learn to want less, you discover just how much you already have. Now we arrive at the 9th Stoic truth, one that brings daily renewal and gives you back control over your direction in life. Today is a new day to practice virtue. Every morning, you're given a quiet but powerful choice. Will you coast through the day on autopilot, or will you live with intention? So many people spend their days simply reacting, snapping at inconveniences, avoiding discomfort, getting through tasks without reflection. They live by default, not by design. But the Stoics saw each day differently. They believed that no matter what happened yesterday, today is a new opportunity to embody your highest values: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today?" That question is the heart of Stoic living. It reminds us that it doesn't matter what mistakes are behind you. What matters is what you choose to become right now. Now, think about your typical day. Have you ever had one of those days where small things irritated you, where you snapped without thinking, said something you regretted, or put off something you knew was important? We all have, but the good news is you're not stuck there. You're not trapped in who you were yesterday. Seneca reminds us, the wise man improves a little every day. That's the Stoic goal, not perfection, not flawless performance, just steady, honest progress, no matter how small. Let's apply that to your work. Maybe yesterday you procrastinated, you got distracted, you lost focus. Today, you can choose differently. Maybe you were short-tempered with a coworker or avoided a hard task. Today, you can show more patience. You can meet the challenge head-on. Every day is a blank canvas, a new chance to build discipline, focus, and purpose in the things you do. And this applies just as much to your relationships. If yesterday you ignored someone you care about, acted impatiently, or missed an opportunity to show kindness, today is your chance to make it right. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens that matters, but how we choose to respond. Even your inner battles, those private struggles no one sees, can be reshaped today. If you lacked courage yesterday, today can be the day you take that leap. If you lacked discipline, today is a fresh beginning, because Stoicism teaches us it doesn't matter how many times you fall, what matters is that you rise every single time. So keep practicing, keep choosing growth, one small decision at a time. And as you wake up each morning, ask yourself, what can I do today to be just a little better than I was yesterday? It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's one kinder word, one moment of patience, one task done with intention, because every small step matters. Everyone adds up. Now we arrive at the 10th and final Stoic phrase, a reminder that humbles us, grounds us, and gives us peace through every season of life. Nothing lasts forever. Not pain, not pleasure. Everything passes. Joy fades, so does sadness. Success, loss, excitement, heartbreak, they all have a lifespan, and yet most people live as if emotions are permanent. They cling tightly to pleasure, trying to hold it in place. They run from pain, fearing it will never end. But the Stoics understood something deeper. They left us with a powerful truth. Nothing lasts forever. Not pain, not pleasure. Once you embrace that, you stop being controlled by the highs or crushed by the lows. You learn to face hardship with calm and enjoy good moments without unhealthy attachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Life is perception." Everything around you is constantly moving, shifting, evolving. What feels like a huge problem today may one day be just a passing memory. And what fills you with joy now will eventually become part of your past. Let's make that real. Think back to a time in your life that felt unbearable, a financial setback, a painful breakup, a season of fear or self-doubt. In the moment, it felt endless, like it would swallow you whole, but it didn't. It passed. You endured. And here you are, stronger, wiser. Epictetus reminds us, when facing hardship, remember, nothing is permanent. Just like the fiercest storm eventually clears, pain weakens over time. Your body heals, your mind adapts, your heart learns to let go. Now let's look at the flip side. Think of a moment that once brought you deep happiness, a personal victory, a celebration, a beautiful relationship or chapter in your life. No matter how joyful it was, it passed too. Now, what remains are the memories. Seneca teaches us we should enjoy pleasure without becoming slaves to it, and endure pain without letting it destroy us. So, how do you apply this in daily life? When you're going through a difficult moment, gently remind yourself, this won't last forever. The intensity of your pain will fade, your emotions will settle, and you'll grow through it, just like you always have. And when you're in a joyful moment, savor it, be fully there, but don't try to trap it in place, because when we cling to what's meant to flow, we suffer unnecessarily. Life is movement. What's weighing you down today may not even matter a year from now. What makes you smile today may someday live only in your memory. So as we've seen, life moves, it changes, it flows. And true freedom comes not from holding on, but from understanding that everything, both joy and pain, is passing. When you realize that, you stop clinging and start living. Congratulations on making it all the way to the end. That says something powerful about you. It means you're not just passively consuming content. You're committed to strengthening your mindset and seeking the kind of wisdom that leads to a more grounded, balanced, and intentional life. Most people don't take the time to reflect on ideas like these, but you did. And that already puts you miles ahead, because awareness is the first step toward transformation. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which Stoic truth hit home the most for you? Was there a phrase that challenged you, encouraged you, shifted your thinking? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you don't have anything specific to say, simply type gratitude in the comments. That way, I'll know you stayed with me all the way through. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos like this, packed with timeless Stoic insights and powerful lessons for personal growth. And to keep the momentum going, I've left 2 more carefully chosen videos right here on the screen. Choose the one that speaks to where you are right now and keep learning, keep growing. Until next time, live simply, think clearly, act with courage,